everyone, Anna is here, and I wanted to hop on today and in our weekly Money Day to chat with you about how you can protect your finances in today's environment through these difficult times we're going through. I know a lot of us are hunkered down in our homes, working from any possible corner you can find when you have minor children chasing you around the house. Hi, Cynthia. Hi, Wanda. But the life outside of these walls doesn't stop, especially it doesn't stop when it comes to our money. And a lot of us are experiencing challenges. There's a lot of information about what's going on. Some of us may have lost our jobs. Hi, Lee. Leanne, good to have you here. So it's really top of mind for everyone. I know a lot of you are online these days, and thank God. So thank God for the fact that we have internet connection. Nothing else matters, right? But at the end of the day, we all gonna have to make decisions, right? And I want you to be smart with those decisions. So I'm gonna go through a couple of strategies, right, or ideas I've put together to really go back to the drawing board, right, and talk through what is really necessary, right? Really, regardless of what your situation is, whether you still have work, you're working from home, you've temporarily lost your employment, or whatever it is, right? Because these principles work through any kind of situations. But I want to highlight the fact that if you are experiencing challenges, you may want to pay extra special attention. So I hope everyone who's watching live, and thanks for hopping on, is healthy, is safe. They're hunkered down in their home, and they're going to stay there for a while. As I think a lot of you heard that this week is going to be the most, or at most, difficult. So please be careful. But let's talk about what I was thinking that would be relevant to all of you. So when we're looking at your overall financial picture, right, what are some of the things that would make the most impact, right, in a given circumstance? And as much as I want to say that it's the least favorite topic of all, but we have to go back to the drawing board and we have to look at where are we spending our money. It's funny, but you can still spend unnecessary amount of funds, right, when you are hunkered down somewhere, whether it's in your home or, maybe perhaps you still have to go to work. So I want you to look through your spending, and I want you to think about where are the places, right? So we've been hunkered down here in California for the last 3 weeks. This is week 3, right? We're finalizing that week 3. So for the last 3 weeks, right, if I have to go back and think about what did I really buy, right? I practically haven't gone anywhere other than the grocery store to buy some food. So where did you spend your money? Now, this is not the life forever we're going to live, and this is not the spending forever we're going to do, but maybe perhaps this presents an opportunity. And if you lost your job, right, or you've been reduced hours and your paycheck has been cut, I am sure that you've gone through your spending. You're going to have to do that because you don't have enough paycheck coming in, or maybe you need to go into your savings. So my thoughts here are these. I want you to think about 2 things. I want you to think about, when you're looking at your spending, what big wins, so remember this, what big wins can you accomplish when you're analyzing your spending? Now, when you hear me talk about analyzing spending, you're probably thinking right away, oh my gosh, I have to cut down some things, I have to stop spending money. Yes, but I want you to look back at the last 3 weeks and really give yourself an assessment, because sometimes circumstances, right, force us to cut down on spending. Now, it is really designed to help you weather the storm, not necessarily adjust and create a completely new life, unless you really want to. So I want you to think about what I call big wins, right, when you're looking at your overall spending. And when you could make adjustments, these categories would be called the big wins, right? You're going to really make the most impact if you made the changes. So 3 things that I identify that go into my category. One is housing costs, right? And I've read something crazy today. I'm sure you all probably have heard, but this is first week in April. About 1/3 of American households who pay rent, who rent their homes, did not make a payment in this month. That's an astonishing number. That's a lot. But that's telling us that a lot of people are struggling and don't have the resources to do that. So Could you make adjustment in your household expenses, right? I know it's tough to make adjustment if you have to pay a rent, but what about the second biggest category? You want to guess what it is? It's food. So look at your behavior. How many times did you go out to eat? I actually have not. Yuri and I have not ordered any food, and we've not taken any carry-outs, and we have not gone anywhere. So it really has been just going to the grocery store, buying whatever we can, cooking all of our meals at home, and eating here. So I think, if anything, I wouldn't want to say that my category in the food has seen a change, right? Because it's probably more of a flip. Our category for eating out, going out to happy hours and things like that has changed, even though we don't do that much of it with a 15-month-old, but still, probably bought a little more wine than we wanted to, just because we can't go anywhere. But these are the things that you can look at and say, okay, where do I have the most opportunity? Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to revisit your baseline. And your baseline, right, in your personal finances always comes back to the footing on which you stand, which really goes down to how are you managing your cash flow. Cash flow consists of expenses, right, that you have on an ongoing basis, and the income, right? So at this point, because a lot of us have no control over income, a lot of us have control of how we manage and how we spend our money. That's why I wanted to start with this point, because it's going to be the easiest, hopefully, for everyone to revisit. Hi, Josephine. Hi, Diane. Good to have you here, ladies. So big wins, right? So if we can tackle big wins, it will probably feel less intimidating, right, in revisiting these numbers. Number two, I want to talk about easy wins. And the easy wins categories for me, and I see this a lot, with a lot of our clients and friends and family, and just thinking about this. But when you look at your spending, easy wins. What would constitute an easy win? So a category where it would be a no-brainer for me to cut right now, right? Just because it's not necessary, right? And my circumstances have changed, would be online shopping. All of you do online shopping. Before this crisis, right, I used to order all of my groceries online. Amazon is the biggest expense on any of our, well, I'm speaking for myself, but on all of my expenses, because I order a lot of the stuff there. So I paused and I had to pull back and think about, all right, do I really need to place these orders right now, right, when there's so much uncertainty? And I just I had to really come back to the drawing board and said, what are the necessities? I couldn't order toilet paper. I couldn't order paper towels. So I stopped looking, right? And then another category in this easy wins section would be subscriptions, okay? So I know it's actually quite the opposite, that a lot of us are home and a lot of us don't have work to do, right? Or can't telework or work virtually, so we may have spare time and you may be up to your subscriptions. But hey, I am calling you to revisit all of those things. Maybe it's time to do a little inventory and say, do you really need to have all of it? I'm not talking about just Netflix subscription or whatever other ones you have. I don't have any, because don't have time to watch cable or in TV, period, right? Much less of those subscriptions. But, what is it that you don't need is my question for you. I'm not calling you out on any of this. I'm asking you to ask yourself, what is it that you don't need, right? Because if you want to have a stable footing, right, a baseline of where you know that because situation we're in is quite uncertain and some of us could be losing our jobs or have already, right, or we're waiting for those unemployment checks that haven't come in. By the way, 2 states actually today started to disperse unemployment checks. Just not the extra benefits that those who are unemployed are going to get, that $600 extra week, but just the regular benefits. I think it's New York and Illinois. So people should start seeing funds come into their accounts. All right. So that's probably a little homework around spending that we all can do. We have the time. Believe me, it shouldn't take you enormous amount of time. Hi, Melody. I hope you guys are doing well there. All right. Number 2, if you're struggling, right, or if you need to do a revisit of all of your debts, right, and what kind of liabilities are on your books, and you need to probably think about, right, if you're facing a challenge, and to inform your creditors. I'm not suggesting that you call everybody right now, and say, hey, I am in a situation where I'm not able to make payments, and ask for some kind of extension. Maybe perhaps informing them of the continuous change in your situation, or potentially, right? So that they're aware. If you can at all times, this would be kind of the last measure, I think would be to let your creditors know and, nicely notify them that you may perhaps need an extension, but that's the last step. So maybe perhaps you can notify it and see, what kind of suggestions they have. Most of the cases, you're going to have to still pay your debt back, right? So if you can, continue with it, but putting them on notices is something to consider. Now, part of this stimulus package, right, that we all going to see unfold here very shortly. It's taken some time, right? But this is the assistance that our government is helping us to deal with this crisis. There's different provisions that help, people in different situations. For example, there's a provision about deferring payments on student loans. There's a provision about if you face this challenge, right, to defer your mortgage payments. So, and the stimulus checks that most of Americans are going to be receiving. So there's different levels of assistance that a lot of us are going to see. It just isn't happening as fast as we want. But I want you to know that there are these options. Until you really face the challenging situations, I want you to sort of be smart and proactive with it. And that's why, just doing a simple review and, analysis and an inventory of your situation is helpful. So spending and then looking at all of the debts. I also want to remind everyone, this is a good time to maybe pull your credit report. What is all going on out there, right? If you haven't done it in the last 12 months, this is the time to do it, to remind yourself where things are and maybe something fishy going on, right? With all of us being online these days, and there's just a lot more exposure, and I'd rather you be careful than be sorry at the end. And then last, but sort of kind of more thinking about what would be the most strategic move, right? If I'm facing challenges or I want to bulletproof my personal finances, right? I would really think about the community that you belong to, right? And these days, our communities don't have to be just in our local backyard, right? You and I live in this neighborhood, less than a year, so I don't really know a lot of people, but that's not the community that I'm going to be going if I need help. You have communities, your extended network of friends and relatives, right? You have connections through work, whatever the definition of your community is. But I want you to think about, right, this as a resource to have a place to go for backup. Maybe, and a lot of us struggling with the fact that we have to manage kids at home, right? Homeschool, daycare is closed, schools are closed. So what resources exist there that can help you tap into what your community is doing? Think about what kind of side hustles you can come up with. Just because you lost your traditional, right, 9-to-5 job, it doesn't mean that you can't do anything else. So what exists out there in your community? I know there's been a lot of changes in all of this, but again, the most creative people are the ones who are going to come out strong, right, out of this situation. And the very last but not least, I want you to be careful and think about how can you maintain your health, right? Your mental clarity, and especially now, right? Because of the virus and everything that's going on around it, you got to take care of yourself. That's probably amongst everything else we discussed today. You got to take care of yourself. So simple things like getting enough sleep, right? Exercising. If you can, just going out for a walk. And that's what I'm going to do actually after I'm done here, because I've been working all day. So I want to go get some fresh air. Eating properly, right? So the less the stress is better, because then your body can handle this your body can handle it better, and your mental capacity is better, and then you see circumstances in a different environment. But again, going back to my point, the last point that I made is, what does your community have to offer? What resources can be shared, right? And think outside the box. You know a ton of people on Facebook, for example. What's out there? So reach out and stay open for sharing these ideas with everyone else. Let me know if you have any thoughts or questions about what we covered today. The goal here is to prepare you, right, as much as you can for these uncertain times. We, of course, all want for this to be over very soon, but the only way out is the way through, right? So as we're working through this, we just have to stick together, and that's the point we're making. We have been, I'm going to post this on our Main Street Facebook page, but if you're interested in going back and signing up to get recordings of our webinars, we're still continuing to do webinars on the CARES Act. CARES Act is the Coronavirus Relief Act that has been just passed by our government, right, and signed into law by our president, that talks about the various programs and benefits that all of us are expecting to receive. So if you wanted to have more clarity, for example, if you have a small business and you're looking to get some help and relief on that, tune in. There's lots of good information. It's confusing. It still needs to be worked through, but at least you're going to get some clarity and some direction as to what you need to go. And share these resources with anyone you know. I'm always open for questions. Let me know what I can answer for you. And the best I can say is stay healthy and stay home. I know we're going to come out of this very soon. And it's just gonna be much better from here on. All right, go get some fresh air, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.